One of the dilemmas for big banks is how to engender customer loyalty at a time when virtually no one has face-to-face dealings with their banks anymore. We don't go into the branches, for goodness sakes. In response to this challenge, the ANZ Bank this week launched a new app called ANZ Plus, which seeks to address the challenge of open banking, which is where customers now own their own data and can more easily shop around and also change financial providers if they like. I caught up with the ANZ Chief Executive Shayne Elliott at the launch this week about that and also the state of Australia's economy.
Well, we think the economy's in really good shape, actually. Yes, there's a little bit of debt out there, but there's also enormous amounts of liquidity and cash. So we just look and we see it every day in our customers' account. Mums and dads, small businesses, big businesses, guess what? They may have a little bit more debt than they had before, but they've got mountains more cash. And the banks are really flooded with liquidity. So the economy is sort of a bit of a coiled spring. That money is ready to get deployed. And actually, there is absolutely opportunity for even more leverage for the right kind of opportunities. What people need is a bit of confidence, and that's really to do with, things like the dreadful situation in Ukraine and a little bit of uncertainty about, is there another variant, etc. But once those things get put aside, we really are very, very optimistic about the future.
How do you imagine in future that extra savings, how is it going to be deployed?
We talk to small businesses, as I said, they're sitting on their hands a little bit, they're sitting on lots of cash, they're ready and able. It comes down to this issue about confidence, and we've seen this divergence, right? The economy unemployment remarkably low, as I said, lots of cash, easy to get debt if you want to borrow from a bank and all that other stuff, but actually confidence remains sort of lower than you would expect at a time like this. So, and that can turn pretty quickly.
Okay, there's an enormous technical change coming up and competition in many ways. Banks face that. You and I have talked often about how do you make a customer loyal if they never go to a bank branch, they never have a personal interaction. How do you do that?
Well, you do it by giving them the things that they want. And what we've done the research on, is that people want help at leading a better financial life. And actually, today, sadly, you have to work against the banks in order to do that. So people want simple things. Tell me how to save more money. Make sure I don't have lazy balances lying around that aren't earning the right amount of interest. Help me own my home faster. And so that's why, we're here today actually launching a new service, ANZ Plus, which really is fundamentally grounded in this idea of how to improve customers' financial well-being or their financial health. That's what they want. And they look to banks actually to help them do that. And frankly, they've been disappointed because we haven't done a good job on it.
Because banks traditionally are set and forget. In other words, you get a customer, you forget the customer works out what they need, what they do. So is this about trying to address this in a new technological age where a person never walks into a bank branch?
Well, they can walk into a bank branch if they so choose, but yes, they don't. And look, technology's been a great thing, right? And it's trained all of us to think differently about services. We want everything 24/7. I don't want to go to when the bank tells me it's open. I want to do it when I want to do it, right? I actually like self-service. I wanted to do the things myself, yeah? And so it's really about putting the tools into people's hands that are delightfully easy to use, engaging, and actually give people what they want. And technology's enabled that. Data. The ability to say, hey Ross, I can see in your account what you're doing, how you're behaving, and I can use that data to help you. For example, as part of the new Plus proposition, we'll be able to say, Ross, we can use artificial intelligence to look at how you've spent your money in the past to predict how you're going to spend it in the future. And then you can kind of go, hey, maybe I should change my habits. Maybe I should spend less. Maybe I should cancel that subscription with whoever. So I think that we're putting tools into people's hands. That's what they want.
Is this your way of also offsetting the potential competition that will come from open banking, where the customer owns their own data? They can actually choose who that data goes to get comparison services, to get better deals?
Absolutely. This is about, you essentially, like in many businesses, I imagine, you have two choices. You either step closer to the customer or further away. Further away may sound a bit funny, but that's when you say, hey, we're just going to be a commodity producer of something. We're going to sit in the back and we'll be the wholesaler. We've made a choice to step closer to the customer. And that means exactly, we want to use open banking to give you even a better experience and actually give you even more control over your finances so that you can own your home faster or run your business better.
So does that mean in the future, because there will be open telecommunications and there will be open energy plans where the consumer owns the data, that you technically could go and compete with a Telstra or an AGL of this world to give a better experience and a better outcome for your customers?
Well, that's an interesting theory, and I think the point is we want to delight our,
It's an interesting theory. You're going to do it or not?
Well, look, our aspiration is to say we don't want to be in the business of giving you a home loan. We want to be in the business of helping you save or buy and own a home, the whole experience. Now, owning the home is part of all the utilities that go into it. So, yeah, we'd kind of like to help you get the best deal on those things, find the best suppliers and manage those relationships. Yes, we would like to do that.
Okay, and what about the other major banks? Because quite clearly they've all got a very big push in on technology. There's only a finite number of customers in Australia. Are you all fighting literally over the same patch of ground?
Yes and no. I mean, I obviously don't know what they're doing necessarily, but we can see from their actions. I think, technology is a huge opportunity, but I think we've all got a slightly different angle on it. What we know at ANZ is our business is really built around this idea of financial wellbeing. Now, we don't see all of the other banks doing that. We see them taking different paths in how they use technology, and I think when you see our new proposition, ANZ Plus, you'll see it's really different. This is not like a major bank. This is much more like a neobank or a fintech in terms of the usability. So I don't think that it is necessarily true that we're all going in the same path.
You've been fairly upfront about saying that your bank has probably missed much of the growth in home lending and lost market share in that area to your major competitors. Is this a way of trying to fast track some of the growth inside the bank that you really do need long term?
Yeah, look, we didn't set about to lose market share, and I have been upfront about it. We made some mistakes, right? But the point about, part of the mistake we made, if you will, was our focus was really about this new exciting opportunity around financial wellbeing and reimagining banking for Australians for the long term. I mean, banks get criticised. I get criticised quite a lot that we're all too short term. We actually put our money where our mouth is, and we're really betting on the long term, that Australians want better from their banks and that we needed a new platform to be able to provide that. Now, we had to do a lot of engineering below the ground. I use the analogy of building a skyscraper. We've had to dig a really big hole, put all this engineering under the ground. You don't see it. And now we're just emerging from the ground to say we've got our first proposition in market, and we think that's going to be something that really is a great proposition for people. More people are going to choose ANZ, and then we'll build on that as we go. And one of those things we will build is the ability to do home loans in a much more sophisticated way than they're done today. Sorry, Ross, but today, sorry to interrupt, but today, something like 27% of Australians today actually start their home loan journey online. Almost none of them complete it online because you can't. You can't do it even if you want to, right? Internationally, in some countries up to 75% of home loans are not just started digitally, they're fully completed. Now that may not be what you want to do in your first home, but for you and I, I've maybe had a few mortgages along the way, probably sort of know what you're doing and you're quite happy to be able to do that. Well, none of the banks can really offer that today, a fully digital service. That's what we are building towards.
Shayne Elliott, always good to chat to you. Thanks for your time today.
Great, thank you.